Hi friends, welcome to my not a sewing vlog. I know, I imagine that there's like happy music right here and I'm like woo-hoo-hoo, doing a little happy dance. But I don't know how to insert like different music in one spot and other music in other spot. Just know how to like layer a soft background music. And the fact that I know how to do that kind of feels amazing, so we'll just leave it at that. Oh, I forgot to get a big cough out, so please excuse me. Hopefully that's the last one. Throat coat tea, because it's amazing. If you've never tried throat coat tea, out of all like medicinal remedies, I think this is my absolute favorite, truly, because even if you're just have like a sinus infection or something, even if you're not coughing, it just, out of all of the medicinal teas, I feel like it's the best one. I just feel it everywhere. It feels so gentle and soothing on my throat. I can feel it like getting up into my sinuses, helping things clear out a little bit. Sick you say? Emily, you're still sick? That's right, going on 2 months of being sick with the same thing. Bronchitis, basically, and a killer sinus infection that it all was starting to get better at the end of November, like really like low key getting better. Just had a little bit of a cough. My sinus infection was clearing up. I was like, yes, I'm on the downslope. And then it just started picking up again. I went to the urgent care and the doctor said, hey, I think probably one of the kids you were subbing around was sick and it re-triggered your illness. Like, great, that can happen. That's amazing. So, still sick. I made an appointment with my real doctor, like my primary care physician, but of course she is not available till February, so maybe I'll be better than then, or better by then. Nope, I'm not going to start the year off editing because that is not what I do. Not really. I probably won't be better by February. Because this is just lingering on. I plan to sit down with my doctor and have a just real frank discussion about how I get sick all the time and what I can do. I already know some of the things I can do, but I'm sure there are other things I should be doing. I actually completely filmed this video like 10 minutes ago and realized a couple of things. One, I didn't have lipstick on. And this is such a pretty color. Look at this pretty color. But also, it was just so sad. Lots of crying. And I was like, I don't want to put that out there into the world. So not putting that out there. So new video. I had completely different plans for how my first vlog of the year was going to go. I was planning on sewing. I know. Don't panic. No mass hysteria. It's okay. Take deep breaths. I was planning to sew during my vlog. Whatever my current sewing project was, this year my plan was to work on whatever my current sewing project is during my vlog. Instead of just standing here talking to you, I'd actually work on my current sewing project, explain where I am in the project, show you, what's going on. I know showing you sewing and projects and stuff is what everyone else does. I just figured you might want more than just me standing here talking. So that was the plan. And I had my fabric and my pattern and everything ready to go. the first project of 2024 was going to be a new Regency ball gown. Because on set, there is a hair. It might stop. Oh, it's stuck to my eyeball. Stop. Oh, that's still attached to my head. Okay, just go away. Sorry. Does that ever happen to you where like a hair gets stuck to your eyeball and you pull it and you can feel it like, going across your eyeball? Okay. This little voice in the back of my head always goes, are you sure you don't want to edit, Emily? Are you sure? It's okay. We're okay. Oh, just you edit it out yourself. Just in your brain be like, okay, I didn't see that. It was going to be a new Regency ball gown because on Saturday, the Washington Regency Society is doing a 12th night ball. And what a great way to start the year out. And I had my pattern, my fabric, threads, trims, everything ready to go. I made it into a pile like 2 weeks ago, but I had my parents visiting, so it kind of, and the holidays and everything. So I kind of put it to the side, but I was like, okay, the week before, I'm going to work on it. I'll have every evening. And I had I knew one day off of teaching, and that'll be enough time, and that'll be great. And I can do some filming, and it'll work perfect. And I wasn't making it like a super hard pattern or anything. It's one I've done before, very little variation. It'll be great. Then, if you follow me on Instagram, which I have no idea how you got here if you don't follow me on Instagram, welcome, random stranger. My grandmother passed away on January 1st. Now, we knew it was coming. She has been in hospice and she has been in decline. But it still was a little bit sudden. My parents were here visiting, and she is my mom's mom. And my mom certainly expected that she would be getting home and her mom would still be alive. So it was very hard having my mom here in Washington State and hearing the news that her mother back in Utah, I'm still going to cry. I'm sorry. I don't think I can actually talk about this without crying, but I will move through it much faster than I did in my previous, the video I filmed and decided not to do. It was very hard having my mom here and hearing that her mother back in Utah State had passed away, because my mom is the oldest of 8 children, and she was the closest to her mother. She was a second mother to all her siblings, and she has been kind of the most of all of them taking care of her mother. The home, I know they're not called old folks homes anymore. There's better names for them. But basically the old folks home and also hospice that my grandmother has been staying at is in the same town as my mom. My mom goes over and visits her every day, sometimes several times a day, drives her to all of her appointments, takes her to get her hair done, her doctor's appointments, all sorts of things. They've just been super close, and it was really hard having that happen with my mom here. And I held my mom. She's very tiny. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen pictures, and you also, if you've been following along at all, you know I'm adopted. So my mom is like this tall. She's this petite little lady and very skinny and little and very short dark hair. Just imagine the very opposite type of woman from me. And so I'm holding my mom while she's crying. And all I could think was how grateful I was to have my mom still with me, because I can't imagine what it's like to lose your mom. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done with that. But having that happen on the first day of the year just took the wind out of my sails. And then the funeral is this Saturday, so I'm no longer going to the event. And I am not making the dress. And I thought about moving on to my next project, but I decided I just didn't feel like sewing this week. I'm taking Christmas down this week. I usually wait a little longer, but it gave me something to do. This is my wreath that goes on my front door. I already took the batteries out, unfortunately, but it has little lights in it that you can, they can just be on or they can blink. Or the one I like is they softly glow up and then they softly glow out. And they're kind of, they're not gold colored lights, but they're that really soft white that's almost a yellow, but not quite. Anyway, that's my pretty wreath. And then around my doorway, I had a garland. You don't care about this, I know. But around my doorway, I had a garland and these little star lights. Because we live in a townhome, all I really have is my door. I do have a front window, and I've thought about putting lights in it. I just haven't figured out yet how I want to do that. If I want to do like a frame, or if I want to do like hooks, or how to make that work. So I haven't done that yet, but I have my Christmas tree over here. I haven't taken that down yet. I need to. So I've basically just been kind of taking it easy this week, slowly pulling down Christmas. I'm planning for the funeral because my entire extended family, not just my immediate family, not just my mom, my entire extended family has requested that I sing at the funeral. I haven't even tried really to sing since I got sick 2 months ago. And now they have requested that I sing this song. It's a religious song. It's going to be a religious funeral. I don't know how I'll do. I've been practicing this song. It's coming out okay. It's coming out pretty well. But I mean, I'm worried. I have good days and I have bad days. Some days I wake up and my throat is like really froggy and then some days I come out and I'm just a little stuffy and congested, but overall my voice is okay. So I don't know what Saturday's going to be like. Send me good thoughts on Saturday, please, because I have no idea what is going to come out of me on Saturday. It'll be good to see family. It'll be good. We don't get back to Utah very often. Just the expense. You usually have to miss work. And we're poor. So, but it will be very nice to see extended family. Actually, extended family on both sides, because both my mom's family and my dad's family have been very close friends. They actually grew up with their backyards touching. So both of my sets of grandparents grew up knowing each other as neighbors and friends. My parents met in high school and, you know, lived right across from each other. The thought I've had a lot this week is I feel like as the individuals that we are, throughout our lives, we're kind of anchored in place, stabilized, if you will, by those important adults in our lives. You know, our parents make up the main part, the most important part. I kind of imagine myself as like a tent that's being set up, and the main tent ropes and pegs are my parents, and then out from there the next most important ones are my grandparents, and then you've got your favorite teachers who inspired you the most, and you know, all those other adults in your lives. And you know, as you pass through those teachers, they come down and they support you, and then as you grow up, those ropes come undone because they're no longer in your lives. You remember their support, but they're no longer there. And when grandparents pass, you kind of feel less anchored. And having no more living grandparents, I really have this untethered feeling. I'm getting emotional again. I'm sorry. I'm going to move on from this subject. it's just an emotional week for me, and it's a big subject, losing the last of my grandparents. It's kind of just, this is my week this week, is dealing with all this. I'm also fielding lots of phone calls and messages from my mom, helping her decide things, all the way down to she wants to know what I'm wearing. My grandma loved red, so we're actually encouraging people to wear some red to the funeral. So it's just, that's all that's on my mind. But moving on, I've really enjoyed watching or seeing online people's plans for 2024. Like mostly, well, when I say plans, I mean their costuming plans. And I realized that, like, my costuming plans, I mean, some people's costuming plans are based on like the cosplays that they're going to build. And some people's costuming plans are based on like the different historical eras or fashion plates that they've found. And sometimes it's a mix of them, and sometimes, and so I was like, how do I decide what my plans are? And I thought about it, and I realized I tend to decide what my plans for the year are based on events. So I went down yesterday, or I sat down yesterday and wrote down, I say wrote, but I made a list on my phone of all the events that I so far am planning to attend in 2024. And then I left a little space below each one of them and wrote out what outfits I would need, like what costumes I would need for those events. And if I don't have one planned, I'd say like costume for this day, or for this event as a placeholder. And that's how I plan out my sewing, like my sewing schedule. And if there's a big like chunk of time between one event and the next, basically I plan, or one of my friends, because we're kind of like-minded, plan some type of outing or event of our own to dress up and run amok for. So there's usually not too big of a gap between events. I said this last year and I didn't really get to it, but I'm very much hoping to add some everyday clothes to my wardrobe this year. Because as much as I have some favorite clothing, online clothing shops and whatnot that I like to shop at for my kind of retro / vintage inspired, that's what I call it, daily look, I have some really incredible patterns that I would love to make and wear. And so I want to find the time to make some of those and start cycling those into my wardrobe as well. So I guess the first outfit of 2024 that I'm hoping, it's not so much make, it's fix. Several years back, I made a early 16th century Italian gown. I can't remember the exact name. It has a higher waist. So the waist is actually probably about where this is, where my actual waist is down here. But it's a little bit higher waist. Not quite empire waist, but a little below that. And then the bodice is like plain, and then it's got a square cut neckline, and then big poofy sleeves that are attached, and then a cartridge pleated skirt that's very full. And I know there's a term for, like a specific term for that style, but it is eluding me right now. And I'd made it for an event at with the SCA years ago, but I had padded the cartridge pleats with like 3 inches. Yeah, I think that's about 3 inches of padding. So when I wore this dress, the cartridge pleats made the skirt just stick out around me. And when I sat at a table or anything, it like stuck out this much from me. and it was awkward and looked weird, and I was like, what have I done? And I've always wanted to redo it. So I've already preemptively removed the skirt from the bodice, pulled out the padding, and I'm going to trim that padding down to like not even half an inch, like a quarter of an inch. Is that a thing? Quarter of an inch? Maybe half an inch. I don't know. I might do some test pleats and see how much it sticks out and see what I think. And then reattach it. And I'll probably have to shorten the skirt too, because I remember I was always tripping on that skirt because it has a beautiful velvet hem around the bottom, but it kind of weighs the bottom down a little bit. And because the skirt was a little bit too long, the bottom would kind of curve under my feet when I go to take a step. And I was always stepping on it, so I was always having to hold it up. So I want to trim off some of the length, which I will trim from the top before I reattach it, because that's going to be a lot easier than unpicking a bunch of velvet trim from the bottom. Next weekend, not this weekend, but the next weekend, the local SCA group is having their 12th night event, and I think I'd like to go. I've been active in the SCA on and off since 2003. It's actually what kind of got me into historical costuming. Before 2003, I was mostly just like rehemming my own pants and dresses and, you know, just like little sewing things like that. But 2003 is when I really started into historical costuming. And then I'd be active in the SCA, Society of Creative Anachronism, or not, depending on what was going on in my life. Anyway, I've only been to one or two events, I think, since we moved here 5 years ago. And 5 years. I just realized just now that in April, we will have lived in Washington for 5 years. It will have been 5 years since we moved to Washington. Wow. I think it doesn't seem like that because almost 3 of those years were spent during a pandemic, you know, so those years kind of meld and bleed into each other, and those are funky years. 5 years, wow. Okay. Huh. All right. SCA. I've made a friend or two in the SCA, in the local SCA. It'd be nice to see them. And I've kind of gotten out of doing the activities in the SCA because SCA has some politic problems, but then so does every group. And I really just want to dress up in historical costume and run amok with my friends. And there are some people in the SCA who are like, the SCA is not for that. You need to get involved. You need to, and I'm like, or I can do what I want because I'm a grown woman. So I'm going to try to dress up and maybe run amok with a few of my friends. We shall see. So that is the plan for next week. So hopefully next week's video will be me working on that project while I talk to you. So I will do some vlog talking and some sewing talking, which means I need a new opening phrase, because starting with "this is not a sewing video" isn't going to work for those ones. But I kind of don't want to be like, this is a sewing video, because it's also a vlog that's like about other things too. Something catchy, something, I don't know. You are all obviously brilliant people because you're watching my video. So maybe you could come up with something for me to say. That would be really cool and useful and helpful, and thank you if you do. Please comment if you can think of something for me to say. You know, welcome to my what, or hi, I'm the sucky seamstress and this is my what. Sometimes a sewing vlog, or I'm gonna sew at you vlog. Like, that sounds really aggressive. I'm gonna sew at you. Um, sewing fail vlog. No. No negative. Can't go negative. Not gonna be negative. A few years ago, I thought about changing my, whatever it's called. Oh, I just forgot what it's called. The name of my thing from the sucky seamstress, because, you know, sucky's kind of negative. But everything else I came up with was like, I don't know. I like the alliteration of the sucky seamstress. And even though quite often what I sew looks great from the outside, especially 5 feet or more away, if you ever look at the guts at the inside, you'd be like, ugh, how did you even manage for it to look good on the outside when it looks like this on the inside? What is going on there? Is that even sewing material? Did you, like, I don't know, make a deal with a demon or something? Yeah, the insides are an absolute mess. I'm one of those seamstresses that just makes it work. As Tim Gunn would say, make it work. That's what I do. I just make it work. I look at these beautiful seamstresses with that painstakingly hand stitch an entire garment, or spend hours doing these, making sure every single pleat is absolutely perfect, and I'm like, that is beautiful, and I applaud them, and I appreciate the work and the depth of just skill they put into it. And then I go home and say, yeah, I don't have the patience for that. And I take my fork and I go with my pleats, and I'm like, this measurement seems about right. Oh, and hopefully I can figure out a dress form this year, because not having a dress form at all is horrible. Trying to just do everything on my body is awful. I do not pattern myself, like on myself, very well. So I'm hoping to do the whole bootstrap form thing, because I have a blank dress form that can go under it. And then I can pad it out from there. And I'm really hoping to be able to get that done within the next month or so, because not having a dress form is awful. I actually considered just buying another one of the commercial dress forms, you know, with the little dials that you measure out and whatnot. But having owned one of those before, I know that there's a lot of problems with those. First of all, they're never tall enough. Second of all, I have very slopey, like short, slopey shoulders. And those dress forms have like these very rigid, like, shoulders. And there's like no way to make them slopey enough. And you know how in Clue, Mrs. White goes, flames, flames on the sides of my face. All week I've been like, stress all over my body, stress. Oh, I totally heated up soup and it's still in the microwave. I just remembered that. I should probably reheat it. Again, this is like, this will be like the third time I have to reheat it because I keep forgetting it's in there. Our built-in microwave that's over our stovetop, the turntable stopped working. No idea why. We've read all the stuff online. We've read we've looked up, I say we, but really Handsome Hubby has. We've looked up the instruction booklet for that model and stuff. No idea, cannot figure out why the turntable just stopped working. And when we first moved to Washington, our apartment didn't have a microwave, so we bought this really nice big microwave. And it's just been up in Handsome Hubby's office gathering dust. So we brought it down here, and it's on a TV tray in the corner of the kitchen, so that when we're heating up things that really need to like slowly turn in order to heat evenly, we have that available to us. But when it beeps, it does the most horrible, annoying beep. It's like beep, beep, beep. Like you can hear it. Oh, 30 minutes, crap. In every corner of the house. Anyway, so I looked up, I did this for Handsome Hubby because it really annoys him. He'll be up in his office and the microwave will go off and he'll be like, shut that stupid thing up. So I looked it up and I figured out how to turn the beeping off, which is amazing, but it turns all sound off. So when the microwave stops, it just stops, which has a downside. Sometimes you forget that you put something in the microwave. So I'm going to go have some soup. I hope you all had an amazing holiday. I hope you have an amazing, New Year's. I hope your first week of this new year is going awesome. I want to hear about all your costuming plans. Like, what is your first, like, sewing project, costume, event thing of the year? Please, please, please comment because I want to hear about all of them. I need this because I am not doing anything this first week of the year that I want to be doing, and so I need to live vicariously through all of you. Thank you for continuing on this vlogging journey with me, and hopefully next week I will be able to present to you the vlogging video format that I was really hoping to start with this year. And don't forget, if you have an idea for a beginning, opening line sentence thing for me instead of welcome to my not a sewing video, please let me know because that would be super helpful. Okay. Lots of love.